up your hair when you're fighting with the arm and the hair, and you do like a fighting pose.
Because you're a total poser.
I'm not a poser.
A 1, 2, 3, 4! And this video is going to be perfect. I just realized I got my Marvel poster behind me, and I got my Budapest poster as well. Perfect setting. Hey everyone, welcome to Mr. Teach Film Preach, and if you are a lover of films like I am, and if you learn from films as much as I do, then perhaps you are in the right place. Welcome. And if you feel like you're in the right place, click like down below and subscribe and like this video, and also give me your thoughts. What did you guys think about Black Widow? It's finally here. We got it! It's about damn time. What did you guys think of this MCU new entry into Phase 4? We are now in the 4th phase. Wow. Wow. Today we are talking about the film that finally came out after all this delaying. 2021 Marvel Cinematic Universe action spy thriller film, Black Widow. This movie is directed by Cate Shortland. It stars Scarlett Johansson, Florence Pugh, Rachel Weisz, David Harbour. It's set between the time period of Captain America's Civil War and the Avengers Infinity War, like 2016, when this movie should have been made.
Why was she up there all this time?
Step back into the past to take a look at Natasha Romanoff's life, her upbringing, the Red Room. We finally get to see what this whole Red Room thing is about. There's a plan with these Black Widow assassins around the world, and Natasha has to go and figure out what is going on. First of all, I love Natasha Romanoff as a character. So excited for this film because we finally got to have a little bit of a backstory on her. We got to learn some more about her, and I think Scarlett Johansson does a great job of portraying this character. Since Iron Man 2 with Jon Favreau, a really super interesting character in her own rights. And so we finally got this film, but it was like, they should have made this 5 years ago. And they just didn't, and I'm not sure why.
Why?
I don't know if they just think people weren't interested in Natasha. I don't know if they thought she could hold her own movie, which is ridiculous.
Are you incapable of letting go of your ego for one goddamn second?
And so it's a character piece. It's a very personalized film. It is not a huge, massive, giant, epic fantasy like Endgame. But it is a deep and personal story. The stakes are high for our character, and I like that because you care about Natasha. You get wrapped up in the family, and it's a lot of fun. The actual story and plot line of certain times, I was kind of hoping they were going to take it in a different direction. There was some really cool couple of twists and turns in the story with our characters, and I thought that was really awesome and intriguing. I just keep thinking of the word fun.
Some nights I stay up, cashing in my bad luck.
Even though there's some really dark elements, there's some really dark things that happen in this film, the subject matter itself, I would say this is probably pushing that boundary of a PG-13 rating. And
Cover your heart! Cover your heart! Oh my god!
this is probably the MCU's most mature subject matter film out of the entire franchise. Dark and deep-rooted things that they explore and themes that they talk about, and I thought that was really cool. For sure, my personal favorite is Florence Pugh. Love that girl. She's awesome. Such a great actress. I mean, I've been a fan of her since I saw her back in 2015 or 16, whenever Lady Macbeth came out. But Florence Pugh's performance was outstanding in that movie, and I was like, oh, here's our next huge star. Sure enough. She just has a really awesome talent. She's natural, she's funny, and this character that she plays, Elena, she is fantastic in this film. She is for sure the standout performance. She's hilarious.
Ugh, that was disgusting.
And a sarcastic, dry humor, and I just think she's a great actress and a great addition. But also I'm gonna pivot over to David Harbour, who as the Red Guardian was so funny. He was one-dimensional in a lot of ways, but he really added a lot of funny moments and a lot of gravitas to the movie. Some wonderful heartfelt scenes with him, and I just think David Harbour is a very underrated actor, performer. The action in this film was actually pretty good. I was a bit skeptical going into it from some of the trailers. I was like, it's gonna feel kind of generic. Saw some really great moments, some actual practical stunt work with stunt men and women that was being performed, they pulled it off really well. You were shown in these wide shots often, and maybe they cut a little bit too much here and there, but you could usually see the action, what was happening on these close-up handheld shaky things. You could see everything, and I really appreciate that about action films, because I want to see that stuff. Come on! Back and forth between the family, and between like the Red Guardian and Elena and Natasha, and just everyone talking at the family table, having these great little moments together. I thought were filmed very nicely, and were quite charming and sweet at times too. I specifically love ScarJo and Florence Pugh, their scenes together when they're talking and kind of having, you know, conversations about the past and things that they want and they regret. I thought their dynamic was interesting, and they just had really great on-screen chemistry. Let's talk about some of the things that I maybe didn't agree with. And right off the bat, I have to just say they made this movie too late. I don't think they executed their overall plan for the MCU very well with this film.
I like your plan, except it sucks, so let me do the plan, and that way it might be really good.
Had, you know, a couple of different release dates, and it kept getting delayed, so it already felt pretty far out. But ignoring all that stuff, they should have made this movie back in 2016, right after when Captain America Civil War came out, and this was sort of the follow-up film. And it's not that I didn't care about this movie, but I had the same experience with this film like I did when I went to see Star Wars Rogue One, where it was really fun and interesting and great to look at, and the action was awesome, but the story itself felt inconsequential. And thus, as someone who is very much there for the story and for the plot and what kind of happens, I was a little bit let down. It doesn't feel important. It doesn't feel like it necessarily had to be told, and especially didn't have to be told where we are now in 2021.
Why?
We want to move forward in the MCU franchise at this point. Been a big gap, and we just want to see what's coming in for Phase 4. I don't know if this was necessarily the right film to start that Phase 4 with. It kind of just felt like a filler film. It's just unfortunate that they didn't make it sooner. Taskmaster was okay as a villain. Again, they gotta really nail their villains, or I find that their films, not that they're bad, but they always just kind of make it into that middle of the grade. This movie kind of falls into that trope of not filling good villain shoes. And so there isn't really a big villain presence in this film, and that was kind of a letdown. I know I was sitting with the most annoying crowd of 9-year-old kids behind us. They were talking throughout the whole film.
Hey, 10 flips now. Go. Kids, hey.
This movie is definitely intended for a little bit of older audiences, where they don't have to pander as much to the audience. They kind of expect the audience to sort of put things together a little bit more. It's not so neatly laid out on a track for the audience. I know the kids behind us, they kept going out every 10-15 minutes to go to the washroom, because I think they were sort of bored or didn't understand the implications of what was going on, mature themes happening in this film, and it kind of just went right over their heads. It felt like it almost made it there. It was like going to be a cool Bourne Identity / Red Sparrow mix. It just wasn't quite there, and it just didn't have the story capacity, and it almost ran out of steam at parts, and so it just wasn't as good as it could have been. It just had a lot more potential than I think what we actually got in the end.
No kind of Sandys, you're wrong.
So overall, it is a fun film. It's got some really great action. It's got some awesome characters, some funny moments, tonally a little bit shaky at times. I wish that they had made this movie 5 years ago, maybe tell a little bit of a different story, but I still had a fun time with this movie, and I think it is definitely worth checking out. I'm gonna go ahead and give Black Widow a B. So what'd you guys think about Black Widow? I would love to hear your thoughts and comments down below. Please tell me, did you think this was one of the best MCU films? If not, what is your favorite MCU film, if not Black Widow? And I would love to hear your thoughts on this film. Was there something that I missed? Or maybe you guys can give me a little bit more insight. I would love to hear that. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me today on Mr. Teach Film Preach. Come back and check out some more films for my playlist, for my 2021 playlist. My most recent film that I reviewed, In the Heights, the great musical. Check those out as well. Have a great day, everyone. everyone. Stay safe, stay awesome, and as always, let's get taught.